Team USA is training hard and ready for the Olympic Games. And so is Jacob.
Whoa, I've got my lucky shirt and Xfinity Flex.
Oh yeah, Jacob's family got Xfinity Internet with the best Wi-Fi for their home and a Flex 4K streaming box free, plus Peacock Premium included. So Jacob is ready for anything.
Go Team USA!
With medal ceremonies, highlights, interviews, and more, plus all his favorite streaming apps in one place.
Can your internet do that?
Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Peacock subscription required.
Xfinity, proud partner of Team USA.
Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
We have come to visit you in peace and with goodwill.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Earth vs. Soup, episode 16. Wow, a sweet 16 episode. And we decided that we were just going to randomly watch a film that we both hadn't seen before and had really no idea about.
And got it on Prime, and this is Darlene.
Yeah, and I'm Aaron. So, we found an interesting movie. One that we actually, it was a little bit of a breath of joy to us because we've watched a couple tough ones.
A Brits.
Yeah, we watched a couple tough movies before this. And this one was a British movie. And we haven't watched many British movies, though I have a few on my list to watch later, including Day of the Triffids.
They Came from Beyond Space.
Yeah, the movie's called They Came from Beyond Space from 1967, and my immediate impression of it before we get into the plot was that this feels a lot like an episode of Doctor Who. And that was not an insult, that is a compliment. It has that feel of, I don't want to say early Doctor Who, but it feels like a John Pertwee episode of Doctor Who. It really could have been.
And it's about that age.
No, it's earlier than John Pertwee.
It's
earlier than John Pertwee. This is still late William Hartnell, early Patrick Troughton era. It's just that this happens to be in color, and most of the John Pertwee stories are in color, so that's why you're connecting it even more in your head.
Yeah, because all of Hartnell's is in black and white, and some are.
All of the second Doctors are in black and white still.
Oh.
But yeah, they came from beyond space. That was my impression of it. But we're gonna, since it's an even numbered episode, Darlene gets to do the plot. So she has her trusty notebook that she's not going to talk into. She's going to talk towards the microphone.
Yeah, he gets on me about that because my voice does not carry on this mic. There's a crash of meteors near a village in Cornwall. They are said to be 9 meteors in formation.
We should say Cornwall is in the southwest of England, and I always connect that with Arthurian legend. Cornwall and Wales and that area is all.
It's the tail.
Yeah, it's southwest part of England.
Yeah, Land's End actually is part of
Cornwall. Yeah.
In a farmer's field.
Yeah.
they asked the scientist, Dr. Curtis Temple, if he would go to investigate it. He couldn't because he just got out of a surgery for a...
He had a car accident at some point in the recent past.
Yes.
But
and his doctor would not allow him to go gallivanting off.
And this was a weird point in this movie. Like, he does not look injured. He clearly is stated to have injuries.
Yes.
He has a plate in his head. But he's, like, perfectly able to operate. I don't know. Anyway, continue.
Well, he volunteers his assistant, Lee Mason, that's a female, with one of those big bouffant hairdos.
Her hair was fantastic. I don't even know what that style... It's not bouffant. It's not a beehive. It's
puffed up.
It's huge. It's somewhere between a beehive and Bride of Frankenstein.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. But just so you know what you're in for.
She and her group go down to Cornwall, to this village and the farm, and they go to chip off a piece of the meteorite. You do that, right, to see what those blue glowing pointy substances.
Okay, first of all, if I see a glowing rock that is not glowing red with heat, but it is glowing, generally my first impression would be to get far away from it, because I don't want to, like, melt from the inside out from radiation.
You would have came in a radiation suit. I know you.
Yeah. Well, glowing rocks, darling, let's be honest.
Glowing rocks, blue glowing rocks is tricky.
Well, Chernobyl radiation looks blue underwater, but that's some scary stuff that we don't play around with.
Okay, but it's blue pointy meteorite.
Yeah.
And they take a chip off of it, and all of a sudden this large, loud noise happens.
It sounds like a bell ringing when they hit the rock, and then all of a sudden there's like this really weird light, and the noise continues to like just echo, and everybody's grabbing their heads.
Yeah,
like and screaming in pain. Yeah.
And it turns out they're getting possessed by these aliens.
Yes.
And they come to get Dr. Curtis Temple, but he tends to not get connected with...
Well, no, it's not that he tends to. He doesn't. Like, nothing happens to him. They try to take possession of him, and he doesn't even feel it.
And then they push him out and leave.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, crap, there's something weird here. We can't take control of him. And in the meantime, remember... Everybody at this like dig site to get these meteors have been possessed. They are now,
and they're taking lots of money, and they've emptied out personal accounts,
personal checking, savings accounts, and they keep making all these crazy well, not crazy. I shouldn't say crazy, because that's one of my points in this. Is they keep making requisitions that are completely reasonable,
but
until it gets to guns
and that.
Requisitions from the government, like we need lots of timber and rope and trucks and things like that, and scaffolding. And it's like, okay, well, that makes sense if you're trying to excavate.
But they should have said some crazier things, like a big transformer.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, we need to have 16 crates of oranges, something like that. That would have been that. Okay, fair enough. That's weird. I need 80 pairs of galoshes. Well. That's weird.
If it was Aaron's aliens, it would be strawberry ice cream.
Strawberry ice cream, or like large amounts of cattle organs, or something like that.
But anyway, back to the plot. Curtis goes down to get to see what's happening, because there's all this weird stuff happening, and he got.
Is there weird stuff happening?
Well, there was the Inquisitions and stuff like that. And
the requisitions. Now, Inquisition is something that the Spanish Inquisition does, and no one ever expects it.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry. I have word problems.
Darlene produces word salad sometimes. It's fun.
And because he gets told to leave
Like
by
we-
even Lee, and because they're in a relationship.
I love you, Lee. I love you, and this is not you. Like, it was very melodramatic, yeah.
Yeah. And so he starts snooping around, and this internal security, which is MI5, supposedly that's what he was, gets a hold of Dr. Curtis, actually walks in front of his Bentley.
Yeah, the big Bentley.
Whoa. He's sneaking around with a Bentley, by the
An
way.
old school Bentley.
8-cylinder.
You can hear it across England as it runs, and it's a beautiful old car.
Beautiful green. Remember that dark green, because we've got a wonder on that one. Shiny too.
Oh yeah, it's so shiny that the chroma key reflects off it, so the car is semi-transparent in some scenes.
In that scene too,
Yeah,
with the with the
internal security MI5 guy. Yeah.
MI5 guy. He needs to make a call to home.
It's not to home. Back to the office.
Back to the office in London. So they stop to have him call, and all of a sudden he comes out of the phone call box.
Just covered in blood.
Covered in red spots. I don't think it's blood.
It is blood. They said it's blood comes out of everyone's pores, and it's a plague.
And dies right there. There's a doctor that comes through. There's a crowd that's there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everybody.
Within a minute, everyone
Yeah.
starts pouring blood out of pores and
As they're
keeling over.
running away,
Yeah.
they're dropping like flies.
And we should also point out that at this point, the Dr. Temple is completely immune to this and seemingly not really bothered by the fact that hundreds of people just basically exploded in blood, not literally exploded.
No, they just plaque out.
Yeah,
with
they get little dots of blood all over them.
the face.
But I mean, hundreds of people just died around him, like in a minute.
Well, there was probably only 15
There
to
was
20 people.
there was 15 or 20 people, but most of those people ran out, and as long as they're within like 20 yards of somebody else, that person gets it. Like, this is a plague that it kills within a minute.
And they had right after that, they have a reporter on scene of that
from
place.
the BBC.
From the BBC with the cord. I love that.
Yeah, the long cord to his microphone, yeah.
With the microphone.
And he's just like, there is a disturbing plague in Cornwall today. Many people have died, and they are calling it the Crimson Plague. And there's like I'm sorry, language. There are bodies like 20 feet behind him, and we already know that like this thing is so highly virulent that you don't even have to be near these bodies to get sick. And he's totally okay. He's totally fine, this dude.
Yep.
So why is he totally fine? He had a war wound, and he has a plate in his head, just like the doctor.
That's the only thing
that's
we
the
can
only
tell.
reason why this guy's fine.
Okay. And then he goes to the gas station, and the girl is gone.
Okay, the girl. We'll talk about the girl because I have questions. But yeah,
Oh,
the girl's gone. The girl's gone.
I had to make that point.
Yeah, girl's
in the
gone.
plot.
The weird girl that he flirted with earlier,
A bad flirting.
really bad flirting, yeah, is gone. And he's like, there was a girl here, and then like 3 guys dressed in like onesies come out and threaten them to get the hell out of Dodge. Yeah, in a very, very, very local accent that was fantastic.
This would be like you going to Arkansas to a gas station.
Like in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing
and
around.
then these 3
the 3 guys that look almost exactly alike all come out in like dirty onesies.
One comes out of a shed.
You know what it looked like? It looked like a literal outhouse, like a concrete outhouse, because it was a tiny little like concrete booth that had junk stacked up inside of it. Yeah, I don't know.
It probably was there in that village, though.
I'm sure it was. I mean, that was they didn't really use any. They limited the amounts of sets that they had to use, and we should point out later that the sets that they did use are repurposed from one of the Doctor Who movies.
Hey!
But we'll get to that. I'll talk about it because we love Doctor Who. Okay.
Okay. And then it goes to the lake with the rocket.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
You have this when he
It's a miniature set.
When he actually gets in trouble at the gate of the.
He goes to the gate way too well. Okay, yeah, he goes to the gate way too often.
But there's a lake over.
Yeah, it's across. It's further away from the road than the pig field.
Yes, it was a pig field because I was like,
yeah,
"Is that a pig?" And Aaron goes, "No, that's sheep. No, that's a pig."
Why are there pigs in this field? It just felt weird. Like it felt like a sheep field. You know what I mean?
So it's really a farm that they're actually doing this on.
Yeah, that's
because there's even a cow that walks across.
Oh yeah, they like let the cow out of the guardhouse at one point, isn't that?
Yes, it was in the guardhouse.
That's so weird.
Didn't really feel that one, but Curtis attacks after the launch of the rocket.
This rocket out of the lake.
He attacks the fence. He sharpshoots the transformer that has nothing connecting to it. It's got two.
I don't know. I don't understand.
We don't understand. And the transformer blows apart.
Like slow motion, this is black powder and gasoline explosion rather than a transformer exploding. I don't know how many people out there have been around a transformer exploding. Darlene has.
Now remember, this is the guy that's supposed to have come out of a car accident just recently that his doctor would not allow him to go down to Cornwall for.
Yeah, to Cornwall.
Then on top of that one is he goes over the fence.
He climbs over the fence once.
No, he just
he leaps.
He leaps and he bounds over and does a roll and stuff like that.
We should mention that this actor is not like in his 20s or 30s.
No, he's
I should actually.
In his 40s
you keep going. I will look up how old he was in this film because he is actually an older man.
He gets into the farmhouse.
47. He was 47 years old in this.
Okay. He gets into the farmhouse. He goes. The farmhouse has. I guess you just call it an elevator, but it's a tube.
Okay. If you have ever seen the movie Weird Science, remember when they accidentally summon an ICBM into their house rather than like a beautiful woman, because like the little alligator clips fall on like a Time magazine and summon the ICBM. It looks pretty much like that. There's just this
There's a
farmhouse.
wall knocked out and
like this giant metal tube that has come up through the house.
And they even just moved the furniture away, which is what he hides behind to get down into that elevator, because the sirens are going all off. And he ends up sneaking into the down below. He sneaks into a freezer compartment with dead bodies, and he finds the girl.
Yeah, the weird flirty girl from the gas station.
And then he gets captured and put into a cell.
Yeah, it's a weird cell that has like a bank vault safe.
Yeah,
door.
all of the doors down there are these round bank doors that actually has a sliding.
Yeah, it's very easy to escape if you're a somewhat thin individual, I would say. Like, if you were a reasonable...
He's not. He's Clarkston-like.
Yeah, we say he looks... In this movie, this guy, the main actor who plays the doctor, he's...
Dr. Curtis.
Dr. Curtis. He's played by a guy named Robert Hutton. And like I said, he's 47, and he looks like a young Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear.
Oh, and I forgot the fight scene.
Dude, the fight scene, he...
Right before he goes down to the elevator, there's a fight scene that he's really...
He hauls off... Well, okay, we clearly know that this guy is a physical actor, because I don't know if they did... If there was like a stunt person for it. But I will say that the fight scenes were really good. Anyway, continue with the plot.
Well, he gets down there, he's then captured when he goes into the freezer. He gets captured.
Yeah, he's thrown into the cell with the bank vault door.
Yeah, with a sink.
It's a sink with
a shower-like thing,
but
and
there's
a spotlight.
and a spotlight that follows him around, and he figures out that the spotlight is following him around because there's like a bug on his back, like an electronic device. So he just leaves the bug on the bed,
Inside, underneath the bed.
Yeah, under the bed, so the spotlight stays on the bed. And I'm like, so they threw him in the cell with like a sink. There's no toilet.
Yes.
And that was the joke that, oh, well, as soon as the guy leaves, and I joked in my kind of MST3K commentary, I said, well, I guess it's time to poop in this sink. It's just okay. It's a really weird set, but the guy comes back in to check on him, right?
Well, no, he goes to talk to Lee, the alien that is possessing Lee, and she sends the guy back to kill him.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of putting him in a cell?
If you're just going to kill him.
Yeah, if you're just going to kill him.
Just keep him in the freaking freezer. You would have killed him anyway.
Yeah, that would have kept him killed anyway. Just lock the door.
Yeah.
So the guy comes back to kill him, and that's when Lee hides
in the ceiling,
somewhere in the darkness, and takes out this guy and steals his ray gun.
Yeah, the ray guns are pretty cool. All right.
And at that point, he finds where Lee is, knocks her out.
Knocks her the F out. Like, okay, here's a 47-year-old man hauling off on, how old is she at the time? She's 36.
Maybe they thought that hairdo would protect her head from
He hauls off on her in such an extreme way that I was shocked.
He thought she was afraid. He was afraid that if he did this to his girlfriend or his wife, that her brain would be smashed
on the floor.
It might be that hairstyle
because she was like pinned to the floor. He was on top of her, and he just hauls back and whacks her in the head as hard as he can.
Cold cocks is what you said.
That's why cold cocks are hard. It really looked okay. Let's be honest. That looked good. I totally bought the fact that she was knocked the F out for a good hour.
and he races out of the place and goes to this doctor. I don't even know that person's character's name.
Man, I don't know.
I was a little surprised. This is a 1967 film, and it is an Indian. He's actually Indian, right?
British Indian, yeah, but I actually don't know. I don't know his name. Is it this? I'm sorry, Darlene can keep talking as I look.
And,
yeah. No, okay. We need to clarify because he is English Pakistani, and I'm very sorry for saying Indian.
Yeah.
But it does say that at the time where he was born was considered British India at the time.
He had that accent that was British Indian. That's why I thought. But then again, a Pakistani would have that too.
British Pakistani. Well, anyway.
Would have that British.
It has information, at least on Internet Movie Database. It both says that he was born in British India but lived his early life in Pakistan. So I guess both of what we said is somewhat true. Regardless, they actually had
just his accent that I was shocked
a minority, a non-white character that actually contributed a lot.
And
to
is
the later,
a scientist too.
And contributes a lot, to the later part of the film.
Horse fanatic. They melt down his trophies, his horse racing.
Well, it's because we should say the doctor figures out
that it deals with his silver plate in his head.
Yeah, he has a silver plate in his head, and he figures, well, that's how they can't mind control him or give him the plague somehow. Okay?
The deal with the silver OPEX, the ultraviolet lights that they radiate.
Yeah, he said, but that's just crap science because, you can then just cover your head in sunscreen.
In tinfoil.
Well, in sunscreen, and you'd be okay.
So all those people that had helmets on wouldn't have got.
Yeah, they would have been fine. Okay, but this scene we are going to talk about at length because this is one of the most sci-fi bonkers scenes outside of like things that we see in Ghostbusters. Just the weird tech that's in it.
See, I thought they experimented on Lee.
They
It
did.
turned out they experimented on animals first, and then on, what is the character's name, Aaron?
Farge. His name is like, and he's not called Dr. Farge, but he's a doctor. He is like a physicist.
There's all kinds of science equipment in there.
Yeah. He's clearly like either an engineer or a physicist at the very least that has a love of engineering, because there's some really weird crap in his house. And by God, I love that scene so much because it's insane. Anyway,
they experiment on Lee and get her out of being
possessed
by the alien.
Yeah.
And then, well, let's just jump a little bit further, and because we're going to talk about these scenes.
They go on to the next. They get trapped on the next rocket going to.
Well, they go back.
They
get trapped. They rush the place. Get onto the next rocket that's going to the moon.
They go to the moon and they end up meeting
the Master of the Moon.
The Master of the Moon, who says they're originally from the planet Zon that circles around the star Leporus. Okay, Leporus is a reference to the constellation of Lepus, the rabbit, the hare. But there is no star of Leporus. There's Alpha Leporus.
You call is what he said.
Yeah, exactly. But there is no star Leporus. There's Alpha Leporus. There's Beta Leporus. There's Gamma Leporus. You don't just have straight. Anyway, regardless, because I was like, I've never heard of that. Continue.
Continue.
Because I'll start ranting about like crazy things here.
Okay, and at that point in time, they want Dr. Curtis. So they're going to remove the plate off.
They're going to surgically remove his silver plate so they can possess him and gain all of his knowledge, because they want to go back to their homeworld to die because they're all too
energy
weak.
being.
Yeah, they transcended physical form a long time ago, but they're all weak now, and they want to go back to their original planet to die. And Farge and Lee Mason rescue him after like the slave revolt, because it turns out like all the plague victims really weren't dead.
They were shipped to the moon and
used as slave labor.
They used as slave labor, and they all had torn up
like
zombie-like
post-apocalyptic clothing, like like a day or two.
It didn't make sense.
Okay, so basically they stop him from getting his plate removed. And he goes, we didn't really want to hurt anyone. We just wanted to go back to our home planet.
Buying a home can feel like navigating uncharted waters. Redfin agents can help. They'll answer your questions with honest advice so you know exactly what you're getting into. They'll also help you tour as many homes as you want and show you what it takes to make a winning offer. With a Redfin agent on your side, you can sail straight to your dream home. Local expertise from Redfin. That's real estate done right. Tour subject to property and agent availability. Virginia Office Falls Church, VA, 844-759-7732.
And Dr. Temple's like, the hell are you talking about? You could have just asked us for help and we would have tried to help you. And if you do that, if you let go of the bodies that you're currently possessing as a sign of good faith, that'll go a long way to fix all the problems that you've just caused. And like, the end. And like the one guy just releases the body and he's like, oh, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Nice to meet you. Yeah. The end.
They did do a great job with that one. That is a good effect that I thought was.
What, the makeup?
The makeup, it was really gray makeup.
Yeah, it's because they were
then they washed his face.
And so he looked like a regular human being again. Yeah. And it's because since the energy beings were so weak, what I took it as was they were just using up the bodies. Like they weren't taking care of them as if they were their own, so they like weren't eating. Because I doubt that there was food on the moon. It's not like that they were actually even growing food anyway. There had been nothing up there. So everyone was just like starving. The bodies were starving. And
no wonder they revolted.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so obviously we've been laughing already about this movie because we will say up front, we loved this movie. This was a lot of fun.
I liked it.
Okay, you liked it. I really liked it too. I thought it was a lot of fun. So what were some of the good points in this?
A Bentley.
Okay, you see an old Bentley. That's no big deal. You can put classic cars on a lot of things. It was a beautiful old Bentley. I loved seeing old props and sets from Dalek Invasion of Earth 2150, which is a Doctor Who movie starring Peter Cushing.
I love the let's melt down your trophies and put up a
Yes, we need to talk about that whole scene. So when Dr. Temple goes back to see Farge, and they kind of test and see what the hell they need to do to protect themselves from being possessed, and it has something to do with the silver. They melt down the silver trophies, like horsing trophies, like equestrian trophies that Farge has, and they make a colander hat with like a silver plate on it, and it looks like something straight out of Ghostbusters. You know what they put on Tully's head, and like they're scanning his brain. It is the most dumb-looking device, but it is completely reasonable.
Then they top it off with goggles.
Oh. Okay, these goggles, folks. If you do a search for this movie, they came from Beyond Space 1967. One of the promo shots you are inevitably going to see is Robert Hutton as, you know, the Dr. Temple, wearing these goofy ass goggles because they're the only way that they can see that if a person is being possessed or not, which doesn't really come up later on, but for some reason they're using these goofy looking goggles. And they're riveted steel goggles with these giant lenses that make them look like they have eyes like Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys.
With O-rings.
Oh, with giant freaking like gaskets and things on them.
They're O-rings. I can see them right there.
I know, you see, O-rings that are like around it, but they almost look like nautical lights almost on the front. It looks like
light bulbs.
It is so goofy looking. I cracked up, but the thing is, it totally looks like something that two guys with more knowledge than skill built in like an hour to do something that they needed to have done. Like, I totally bought that these two guys built this in an hour to try to save the girl from being possessed. And the silver colander hat, the freaking goofy ass goggles, the weird devices that they were using. I totally buy it, and it's hilarious because I don't know what can I say. It's goddamn brilliant.
And things like that.
And they use these weird colander hats all the way through the last part of the film.
Well,
they hide them underneath motorcycle helmets because I guarantee you, the director of photography figured out these things look goofy as hell. I can't have them on screen.
Well, I would say that they probably hurt to wear them.
Yeah.
And they could take the colanders out of the helmet and put the helmet on.
Okay, so folks, the props in this movie, A1, like excellent, thumbs up.
They're worthy of child's play.
I mean, like, no, they're
the chroma key was a bad thing.
Okay, the chroma key was bad, but look, they look goofy, but they're earnest.
Yes,
what I'm saying,
it does fit to something that was made in haste. And people just trying to do something quickly that works. Done. Like, how many times have you just cobbled together something to get by? Like, everyone. The only difference is that here they didn't use duct tape. Damn.
I know.
They missed the silver space tape.
Okay, so I love the ray guns. I thought the Crimson Plague was actually kind of cool, and it was an interesting idea. Like, and it didn't seem like it was a part of the plan. Because
I think it was part of the plan.
Later on, it seemed like it. That they're like, well, that's how we got all the slave labor, and that makes sense. But at first, it looked like, oh, well, we didn't mean to do that, but oopsie, we'll just take advantage of it. I don't know. But
I don't know about what they were doing there, but I could see them doing it deliberately to get the place under quarantine.
So for 1967 and a British production, the effect of what they did with the Crimson Plague is about as extreme as you could probably get and still have it released in theaters. Like, people are covered in little dots of blood. If you did much more than that, I guarantee you this couldn't have gotten released in the UK. I mean, the Brits had harder limits than we did in some ways. In other ways, they didn't. Like, they were totally okay.
How did you think about the rocket?
Okay, the rocket looked cool, but the
inside didn't fit.
No, the inside was dumb. But the rocket looked cool on the outside. I thought it was a really cool miniature set.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no way that the UK government didn't notice that launched from Cornwall to the moon.
Russia.
There's no way that the Soviet Union or the US didn't notice that. Going to the moon.
And it was going up and back.
In 24 hours.
In 24 hours.
And there's no human technology.
Hyperspace. Let's talk about the hyperspace.
No. Yeah, so they're stuck in the middle of the rocket on takeoff. They have no windows. There's no devices that register any kind of...
And they're on a spiral staircase.
Yeah, but there's nothing there that they can tell what's going on, what kind of device or propulsion is being used. They see nothing. They're
all of a sudden, nothing happens.
And he goes, "Oh my God, we've
went into hyperspace.
We've gone into hyperdrive." And I'm like, "No, how do you know that?"
Yeah, it was hyperdrive.
I wrote down the quote. We've gone into hyperdrive. How do you know that with no windows and no controls or no displays?
And never been in.
You've never been in hyperspace.
Because I could tell if I was on a plane, but I've been on planes how many times?
Okay, what is a hyperdrive, sir? You know, how are you defining that? And see,
all it is
you're on a regular goddamn rocket going to the moon. Yeah, it's fast, but that's not a hyperdrive. That's like an atomic rocket. Get a hold of yourself, sir.
It's definitely a firecracker flaring. It's definitely a model rocket.
Yes, it's a model rocket on a miniature set, but it looks good for a very, very low budget film. And it is a very low budget film. They saved budget on this movie by not only, but filming on location. That's why there's so many outside shots. And what sets they did have were repurposed from Dalek Invasion of Earth 2150 AD.
And the farmhouse probably was something that somebody was remodeling a farmhouse. Because it really did look like a farmhouse with the wall got knocked out.
And the quality of the film, though, because in British productions, you can generally tell the difference between filming on location and filming on a set. The location looked like it was a location. The farmhouse was a location. That they had built this silo elevator thing in the middle of. And, okay, that looked good. And I like the fact that the elevator, to have like an indicator of where the elevator was, it had this like like an air thing with like a ball in it that showed you where it was. But I'm like, well, to me, what that suggested was that the elevator didn't use pulleys; it used like some sort of hydraulic, like air cushion system to push.
Like the thing in the
like at banks when you put your cartridge in the bank. Yeah, the vacuum tubes. That's what I thought. That's what it reminded me of immediately. And I thought, I don't know if that was their intent, but that's kind of a cool idea. Like.
That made me think of what it was.
It was a cool idea. So obviously we've been really gushing about this film in general because it stands out as being a lot of fun. It's an actual movie-length movie.
Yes. And it didn't bore us like the other ones did.
This is an actual movie. Okay, so what doesn't work in this film?
What doesn't work in this film? Let me look.
Darlene, let me look at Darlene's notes. The chroma key was terrible.
The chroma key, yeah.
Because they chroma keyed on a shiny car, and the car reflected the chroma key and became semi-transparent.
And it's the British green.
It's like dark green.
Like you have in Jaguars.
Yeah, like old Jag green. Oh, God. It's a beautiful color, but when you chroma key on green and it's a super shiny waxed car.
Their chroma key was bad otherwise too, because there was you could see that the other parts where they had the chase scene between Lee and him in the Bentley.
Yeah.
You could see that it was chroma keyed too. The back scene.
I thought that the initial scene with the doctor bitching about Temple not going because it's doctor's orders that you don't go because you just had this accident.
That was bad.
It's so meaningless because, like, what does this guy have anything to say about Dr. Temple leaving and going?
He could have said something like, I'm going to send my assistant because I'm still recovering from my accident.
He could have said that. But here's the thing.
Instead of he's having a doctor twice, not once, but twice interrupting the scenes, yelling at him that he's forbidden to go.
But here's the thing, like, there's a whole scene where the possessed alien people come back to try to possess Temple. And it's a completely meaningless scene when you think that Temple could have just gone and not been possessed at the excavation site where the meteors hit.
After being told that there's all these requisitions.
Yeah, he could have just gone. Or even right at the beginning, he could have gone, like, with his love, Lee Mason. I don't know. It seemed like it was a pointless piece of drama to have him not involved at the beginning, but having him not involved at the beginning just basically delays the beginning of the film.
The only thing it does is explain that he's got a plate in his head.
Yeah, but they could have explained that, him going immediately and not getting possessed, and everyone, like, suddenly around him being possessed and screaming in pain, and him just going, well, what's wrong with you people? You know, what's going on? Wait, because he doesn't feel anything. It's not like he is able to resist it. It's like nothing is happening to him.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that one. But I do think that the doctor didn't need to be there. The physician.
Yeah, the physician was a meaningless part.
He could have just gone, I will come down later, or
as soon as this old guy that's my physician goes to bed, I'll jump in my Bentley and meet you down there. Yeah. Or I have some paperwork to fill out. I'll meet you down there, sweetie. You know, okay, fair enough.
I could see that not knowing what took place as being a reason for the plot, but he seems to find out everything anyway, and he might as well be James Bond.
Yeah, because he's Action Man. Like,
and that's something else that was cool. The beginning of the show has a James Bond-esque.
Yeah, it's a Bond-esque opening. It doesn't have naked women in it, but it's kind of weird and colorful, and it has weird shapes. I don't know.
And it doesn't even meet what the movie is.
No, it doesn't fit with the movie.
It would fit with a Bond movie.
That's what it reminded me of, was that it's kind of like a Bond movie. So what else doesn't work in this film? Not a lot, because not a lot.
The gas station girl.
The gas station girl is weird. Okay, yeah, I should talk about the gas station girl. The gas station girl is
one of the
She seems like she's later kind of shown to be working with MI5. So
she calls the agent.
Yeah. So she's an MI5 agent, okay? But she's really obviously flirting with Dr. Temple when he stops to get directions to the farm.
Kind of horribly.
Yeah, and I don't know, if I was a guy and some woman came up to me and tried to flirt with me like that, I would honestly think that they weren't flirting with me, that they were trying to tell me something.
Or that they were a prostitute.
Or they were a prostitute, like, trying to hit me up. But she wasn't dressed like a prostitute. She was dressed like a greaser. She had, like, a leather jacket, tight jeans. And that's a little weird for 1967 England.
She had tight jeans. They were the 1950s ones that come up to halfway.
Yeah. Did she have boots?
No.
I remember that her hair was like white blonde, like very platinum blonde.
I don't think that's artificial though.
No. And then she had this leather jacket.
And it was short hair.
She was smoking and just kind of hanging out by the gas pumps.
And lots of eyelash makeup. I mean, wow. If that was like something to, I don't know, it just doesn't pay off, because yes, he finds her body later on in the basement of the farmhouse, right?
in the meat cooler.
In the meat cooler, down in the...
Obviously, she's going to be shipped up to the moon to be used as slave labor. But her flirting with him really goes nowhere. It does nothing. And the only reason I can think of is that they had her doing that was so we would recognize her body.
When she picked him up from the road being knocked out.
Her behavior is so strange that she's memorable. It's so out of left field what's going on with her.
And it turns out that she called the agent.
Yeah, to come down and get him.
Because he's out in the field with some spy glasses.
Yeah.
And those were cool spy glasses.
Yeah.
Binoculars that were tiny.
I mean, if their intent was just to make her behavior weird enough that she stood out and you would immediately recognize her in like...
And he was stopping to get directions.
Yeah, so it's a random stop. It's not like they planned that. It's just a random thing that she's hanging out.
I can see with the Bentley, he could have went, I need to fill up, and can you tell me where the farmhouse is? And they could have had a conversation. So that could have been written a little bit.
There might have been
sleazy.
maybe they cut something out of that.
They could have, yeah.
Because it does feel weird, doesn't it?
It does feel weird. It was like she was trying to pick him up.
That's what it really. Yeah. It just very incompetent.
I don't know if it was supposed to be like trying to tell the world that he's a Sean Connery with, oh my God, an elder guy that looks hot.
He's 47. He's a handsome guy. Yeah,
he's handsome, but he's not drool worthy.
No,
okay?
no.
He's good looking, just not anything out of the ordinary good looking.
I don't want to say this is something that doesn't work, but I want to say that it's not something that does work. This falls in between, and it's the lead actress, Jennifer Jane, who played Lee Mason, the girlfriend, the assistant who is never referred to as a doctor, but seemingly is an expert. It felt weird that she was not...
Because he even said to them that she could do everything that he did.
Yeah.
And he was going to send down his assistant.
And she's clearly competent.
And then as you know that they're in a relationship because he goes, they're going to find out you're the brains of the group.
So why is she not referred to as a doctor?
I don't know.
It would have made sense. And here's the thing, like, throughout the majority of the movie, 90% of the movie when she's on screen, she's possessed.
I could see if it would have been better if she was, even if you didn't use the word doctor, if her last name was Temple. She was the wife of him.
I don't know, because then it would seem like the only reason she's there is because of being married to him. Maybe that's the reason. But regardless, she's supposed to be competent. Everyone respects her, but for some reason she's not listed as a doctor. She's never referred to as a doctor.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that part doesn't work. But what does work is that the actress is clearly very good at acting like she is in charge.
Yes, she does. And
even when possessed, she is like the lead person of
but
like the possessed aliens.
She did a good job of the difference. You could feel the difference between her as Lee Mason and her as the alien.
Yes, you could. And that's a good actress. I'm saying that
where
works.
The other guy...
everybody else that's generally...
The one we called the minister.
Yeah, because he was the minister for like space and space research or something like that. Yeah, and you can't tell the difference between him being possessed and not.
Not.
But with Jennifer Jane playing Lee Mason...
You did.
You did. So credit where credit's due. That did work.
She did make almost two different characters.
And she was actually imposing a bit in some of the scenes, which was really interesting. But it makes me want to know that character more when she wasn't possessed. Because I would like to see the greater difference. Because when we only rarely see her not possessed, right? And about half the time when she's not possessed and she's in peril, she's like cowering in a corner. And I thought that was a disservice. So that's why I'm saying that some of this doesn't work, but some of it does work with this character. And this actress.
And it's whoever directed her. would have done her the place that she's put in the corner.
And she's cowering.
Space,
yeah, it's on when what's his
the Master of the Moon thing.
It's when Dr. Temple's on the Star of David operating table.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, there's that there.
Why not? They didn't want to use a Pentagon because that would have looked.
It would, that would have been like, the satanic ritual in the communist commune in California. Yeah. From another thing that I just recently watched. I'm sorry. So, do we recommend this film? Actually, yeah. Well, no. Well, obviously, we're going to recommend this film. Usually, we say, what can modern filmmakers learn from this? Something positive that modern filmmakers can learn from this.
When you've got, I think the good one is the use props that look like they. If you're going to use something that's fastly made, make it look fastly made.
Yeah. Don't make something look slick and produced. Make it look like it's literally held together with bubble gum.
What's the great thing about the backpacks of your favorite movie?
What, Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters. They look like they're cobbled together.
Yeah, and they're untested nuclear accelerators. I blame myself. So do I. I know. But
this has that. It's cheesy, but it's
charming.
But it actually fits with.
It's charming.
It's if you had a problem with apocalypse today, and you needed to make a telescope to see the moon.
Yeah, it's not going to look like I bought a Celestron telescope. It's going to look like I have a few lenses put together with some like 2x4s trying to hold them at the proper length, the proper distance. It's charming. As soon as I saw them, I started laughing and smiling. I wasn't laughing.
Handmade. It looks handmade.
I was not laughing at the movie. I was laughing with it.
Well, they looked funny.
Oh, they look goofy as hell.
Oh, God.
But it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense.
So whoever made those props, if you're still around,
oh, God,
thank you.
Thank you so much for making those, because they brought me joy that I did not know I needed. Today, like, okay, I was watching a weird alien invasion film, and then suddenly giant googly-eyed goggles come at me with a guy wearing like a colander on his head. I did not know I needed that. I now have joy in my life, a little more joy in my life. So obviously we recommend this film.
Yep, we do.
I think you should watch it. It's on Amazon Prime for free. That's where we watched it.
Prime, if you have Amazon Prime.
They Came from Beyond Space, 1967. It's a British production, so it has a different feel. We think it fits into our kind of genre of movies that we talk about.
Does.
Because we don't want to talk about a ton of foreign films.
Well,
but
one of the other things that didn't work is they were on the moon and everybody's walking the same.
Yeah, but you can't get away with that unless you have like tons of experience with how to set up people.
This is before we got to the moon.
Yeah, and not everyone understood how you were going to need to walk on the moon in the lower gravity. Everyone just thought, oh, well, you just have to walk a little slower, because lower gravity means you're just going to flip yourself over. No, it's that on the moon, bunny hopping tends to be the best way to move from point A to point B.
And that's why we said that was great about the first movie that we... Was that the first one we did?
Destination Moon?
Yes.
Yeah, they moved differently. They didn't bunny hop.
They didn't bunny hop, but they did try to
move differently. Like, they were trying to show that the gravity was wacky, that you're just not used to it. Think about it. Like, how are you going to move on Mars? No human has been yet to Mars. You don't know. Like, it's probably going to be somewhere between bunny hop. It's probably going to be like skipping.
A shuffling.
Yeah, like a shuffling or a weird...
Skipping.
Yeah. Different between our
Depends
normal
on which
walk.
way you want to go, if you want to run or if you want to
I mean, if you want to run, you're probably going to be hopping at that point, because if you put too much force in low gravity, you're going to end up overcompensating and flipping yourself over. Anyway, we recommend it, folks. They Came from Beyond Space, 1967. We hope you enjoyed listening, and we'll see you next time. I'm Aaron.
I'm Darlene, and you have a good night.
See you later.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
Have you heard how amazing the deals are at Kohl's right now? Because it's unreal. You can shop the best active stuff from the biggest brands. I got 25% off Nike sneakers for me, 25% off Adidas shorts and tees for the kids, and Under Armour gear for my husband for under $40. I even got some Kohl's cash. So yeah, I'm for sure going back for round 2. I mean, how could I not? Select styles, Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour coupons do not apply. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Keep up with Team USA with gig speeds over Wi-Fi from Xfinity. Can your internet do that?
Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires gig internet and compatible gateway. Gig speed Wi-Fi is shareable across all devices. Actual speeds vary and are not guaranteed.
Xfinity, proud partner of Team USA.